Dr. Wilson, welcome. Congratulations on your nomination. Two of the President's nominees for civilian leadership posts in the military services have now dropped out, so I think it's incredibly important that the administration nominates and that the committee considers qualified nominees as quickly as possible. And you certainly have impressive qualifications for this post. As you know well, New Mexico's men and women in uniform are proud to take the lead in addressing many of the challenges that you would face as Secretary. And Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico has already proven to be critically important in addressing the Air Force's shortfall for both RPA and F-16 pilots. As Secretary of the Air Force, you'll be responsible for growing and retaining our pilot and our maintainer forces. When selecting an installation for this purposes, can you talk a little bit about what criteria you would most value given the constraints that the Air Force is currently under?
Senator, the Strategic Basing Initiative for every mission comes up with a set of criteria for that mission. And there's at least an interim decision with respect to Holloman and training there. There hasn't been a final decision on the final location, but as I mentioned to Senator Peters, when those decisions are made, we won't put any thumbs on the scale, and we'll try to make those straightforward, direct decisions in the best interest of the country.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the particulars of that decision basing system is based on, and what the Air Force is looking for in those cases?
Senator, with respect to a particular weapon system, I probably could not. But I think with every weapon system and with every mission, there's a set of things that the Air Force decides are really important to them. For example, airspace to be able to conduct training operations, or particular kinds of electronic practice areas, or those kinds of things. And for every mission, it's probably slightly different. And then they just rank those in order.
I was looking at your preliminary hearing questions, and you said that you strongly support rapid prototyping, experimentation, and using rapid acquisition authorities to provide new capabilities to the warfighter. Last year, the Senate Armed Services Committee granted rapid acquisition authorities for directed energy weapon systems. As Secretary, would you look to use those authorities for directed energy, and would you support transitioning these systems to the warfighter more quickly?
Senator, I do support transitioning systems very quickly to the warfighter. With respect to an acquisition strategy for a particular procurement, I'd look for advice from the acquisition community before I'd make any particular decision.
In light of the current administration hiring freeze, one of the things I'm concerned about is the military's ability to meet mission requirements under those pressures. And military leaders have explained that by not hiring civilians, more pressure is shifted onto military workers to finish those jobs. And in some cases, they are now being asked to do additional duty as a result. At Air Force Research Labs in Albuquerque, there are a significant number of vacancies for civilian positions that actually carry out critical missions for the military. Can you talk generally a little bit about how important you believe civilians are to the overall mission of the Air Force, and what steps you might take or what things you would look to as Secretary to be able to fill those vacancies and ensure that the mission requirements are being met?
Senator, we do have the hiring freeze in place. There are exemptions and work through position by position, and it is my understanding the Air Force is operating under that at this point. Almost half of the people that serve in the United States Air Force are civilians. Many of them were prior military, but many were not, and they make significant contributions to the mission, and they're part of the team. And I treat them as part of the team. I would say with respect to the pressure on the force, the worst thing we could have happen right now is to have a continuing resolution for the last 5 months of the year that would probably result in a complete hiring freeze with no exemptions, and will exacerbate the pilot shortage. We'll have to stop, likely. If confirmed, we'd have to stop a lot of the new starts that we've got going, and we'll dig the hole deeper. So with respect to civilian employment, I think that is the biggest issue before us all.
Thank you, Chairman.